Your chest tightens. Your breath shortens. You're standing in line at the grocery store, but you're not really there. You're back in that moment, that conversation, that look someone gave you 3 days ago, and you're rewriting it, defending yourself, explaining what you really meant to someone who isn't even listening, because they're not here. Only you are. Trapped in a loop, your mind won't stop playing. You try to let it go. You tell yourself it doesn't matter, but the moment you try to stop thinking about it, it gets louder. It's like trying to smooth water by slapping it. The harder you push, the more it resists. The more you fight for peace, the further it runs. What if you've been doing it wrong? What if the battle itself is the problem? There's a story, ancient, quiet, almost too simple to believe, but within it lives a truth that can end the war you've been waging against yourself. It comes from the final years of the Buddha's life, an old man walking through forest heat, thirsty, and in his thirst, he offered his closest disciple a teaching that would change everything, not about water, about the mind. Today, we invite ourselves to sit by the riverbank of our own awareness and witness the stillness that emerges, not through effort, but through the gentle art of letting be. This is not about learning to control your thoughts. This is about discovering you were never meant to. The Buddha turned to Ananda, his student, his companion for decades. We passed a stream some kilometers back. Take my bowl. Bring water. Ananda bowed and walked back through the heat. But when he arrived, he stopped. The stream was chaos. A caravan of ox carts had just crossed, wheels churning the bed, hooves stirring silt, dead leaves spinning in the current. The water was brown, thick, undrinkable. He stood there, bowl in hand, staring at the mess. He couldn't bring this to his teacher, so he returned empty-handed. Master, the water is disturbed, but there's a great river just ahead. 2, maybe 3 kilometers. I'll bring water from there. The Buddha shook his head. No, go back to the stream. Ananda's face tightened. Why? The river was closer. The water would be clear. But the Buddha continued, voice soft. Go back, and when you arrive, if the water is still muddy, don't do anything. Don't try to clear it. Don't enter the stream. Just sit on the bank. Be quiet. Watch. The stream will clear itself. Then bring the water. Ananda didn't understand, but when the Buddha spoke like this, calm, certain, with that slight smile, you didn't argue. You obeyed, even when it made no sense. So, Ananda walked back 5, 6 kilometers in the midday sun, knowing the water would still be brown, and it was. Leaves still turning in slow circles, silt still hanging in the current like fog. But this time, he didn't despair. He didn't curse the ox carts. He didn't try to skim the leaves or strain the water through cloth. He sat down, on the bank, and he watched. At first, nothing changed. The water remained murky, restless, impossible. But Ananda stayed. He didn't move, didn't interfere, didn't try to help. He just watched. And then, slowly, so slowly he almost didn't notice, something began to happen. The current carried one leaf downstream, then another. The silt, no longer stirred, began to drift toward the bottom. The water, left alone, began to remember what it was, clear, transparent, still, not because anyone fixed it, but because no one disturbed it. Ananda sat there, bowl forgotten in his lap, staring, not at the water anymore, but at what the water was showing him. When he returned, he didn't just hand the Buddha the bowl. He knelt, touched his teacher's feet. The Buddha smiled. "Why this? I should thank you for bringing water." But Ananda shook his head, eyes wet. "You weren't teaching me about water. When you sent me back, I was angry. I thought it was pointless. The river was closer. The answer was obvious. But you didn't want the answer. You wanted me to see something." The Buddha waited. "My mind," Ananda said quietly. "My mind is that stream, constantly disturbed, muddy with old thoughts, old hurts, old arguments I keep having with people who aren't even there. And every time I try to clear it, every time I jump in and try to organize it, fix it, make it stop, I only stir it up more." He looked up. "But when I sat on the bank, when I just stopped, it cleared itself." And then the Buddha spoke. "Meditation is not doing. It is the art of non-doing. When you stop disturbing the mind, it becomes clear on its own. This is the teaching, not a technique to master, not a practice to perfect, but a recognition. Your mind is a river, and you've been jumping in, again and again, trying to grab every leaf, smooth every ripple, control every current. But rivers don't need control. They need space. They need you to stop helping. Listen, what if your mind doesn't need to be fixed? What if it just needs to be left alone? Think about it. Right now, when you try not to think about something, what happens? It becomes everything. When you force yourself to just be present, where are you? Lost in the effort of forcing. When you demand silence from your mind, what do you create? Noise, resistance, war. This is what we've misunderstood about meditation, about peace, about the silence we're all searching for. We think we have to make it happen, but the Buddha showed Ananda something else. If you enter the river, you will only disturb it further. Sit on the bank. Do nothing. Just watch. Clarity isn't something you create. It's something you stop preventing. Let's try this. Right now. Together. Close your eyes if it feels safe, or soften your gaze toward the ground. First, just notice your breath. Not to change it, not to control it, just to feel it moving. In, out, rising, falling. Now, notice your mind. What's there? Maybe a worry about tomorrow. Maybe an image from yesterday. Maybe you're already thinking about what comes after this video. Don't judge it. Don't name it. Just notice. Something is there. And here's what usually happens next. You want to push it away, or follow it somewhere. Or you think, I shouldn't be thinking this. I should be more present. But today, we're not doing that. Today, you're Ananda. You've just arrived at the riverbank. The water in front of you is murky, disturbed, clouded with silt and spinning leaves. And the Buddha has told you something strange. Do nothing. Just sit. Just watch. So that's what you do. You sit, not on a meditation cushion, but on the bank of your own mind, and you watch. Thoughts float by like leaves on the surface. Feelings rise like clouds of silt from the bottom. You don't grab them. You don't push them under. You don't try to clear the water. You just witness. Notice what happens when you stop interfering, when you stop trying to fix what you think is broken, when you stop being the one who jumps into the river. You become the bank, solid, steady, unmoved. Not because you're suppressing anything, but because you've recognized something. You were never the river. You are always the space that holds it. Stay here, just a moment longer, watching the water clear. The thoughts are still there, yes, but you're not drowning in them anymore. You're not in the water. You're on the shore, witnessing. And when you're ready, notice this. The stillness you've been searching for was never hidden. It was here, always, beneath the disturbance, beneath the mud and the swirling thoughts and the endless loops. There was clarity. You didn't create it just now. You uncovered it by stopping, by doing nothing. This is meditation, not an achievement, a return, not a doing, a recognition. You are not the storm. You are the sky watching it pass. If something shifted in you just now, even slightly, share what you noticed below. Not to explain it, not to make it perfect, just to name it. Sometimes speaking what we discover helps it settle deeper. So, how does this live in your life? How do you carry Ananda's riverbank into your ordinary days? Here's the truth. The water will get disturbed again. It's not a failure. It's what water does. The ox carts will cross. The leaves will fall. The silt will rise. But now, you have a choice. You're lying in bed. It's late. You should be sleeping. But instead, you're replaying that moment. The thing you said. The thing they said. What you should have said instead. And your body is here, exhausted, but your mind is back there, rehearsing, defending, explaining. This is the river, and you're in it. The moment you notice, that's the moment. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to finish the conversation. You just recognize, I'm stirring the water, and you return to the bank. You let the thought move through. You stop rehearsing. You watch it drift downstream. Or maybe you're in a conversation. Someone says something that lands wrong. Anger flares. Your chest tightens. You want to respond. Correct them. Defend yourself. But you pause, just for a breath. And you recognize, this is a leaf on the water. I don't have to grab it. I don't have to push it under. I can let it float by, not because you're suppressing your anger, but because you're no longer identified with it. You're the witness, not the wave. Or you wake up and immediately the day rushes in. All the things you have to do, all the ways you might fail, all the futures you need to prepare for. Your mind is already 6 hours ahead, planning, defending, bracing, and you notice. You're in the river again. So you stop. You don't try to silence the thoughts. You just stop feeding them. You become the bank. You let the current flow. You watch. And slowly, not always immediately, but slowly, the water begins to clear. Because that's what water does. When you stop disturbing it. Here's what Ananda discovered that day. Walking back through the forest with a bowl of clear water, the Buddha hadn't sent him to fetch water. He'd sent him to stop fetching, to stop trying to obtain what was already there. The stream was always capable of clarity. It didn't need Ananda's help. It needed his absence, not his physical absence, but the absence of his interference, the absence of the one who thinks they can force the river into stillness. Your mind is the same. It doesn't need you to control it. It needs you to stop trying. The mind is not your enemy. It is a river. And you are the vast, unchanging awareness, watching it flow. You were never in the water. You were always on the bank. So when the water gets muddy again, and it will, remember Ananda. Remember the stream. Remember that clarity is not something you create. It's something you allow. You don't need to fight your thoughts. You don't need to become someone who never thinks. You just need to stop jumping in. Sit on the bank. Watch. Wait. The river knows what to do. It always has. If this teaching found you today, let it settle, like silt drifting to the bottom of a stream. Don't try to understand it all at once. Just return to the bank whenever you need to. And if you'd like more of these quiet returns, these reminders of what's been here all along, you know where to find us. Until then, be the witness, be the bank, be still. The clarity you're searching for is not somewhere else. It's here, beneath the disturbance, waiting for you to stop stirring the water. Pause, breathe, let the river clear.